All right. Thank you very much for your patience. You can say sadhu to start the discussion.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Panchahi bhikkhave dhamme samannagato bhikkhu Attahita cha patipanno hoti Parahita cha. Katamehi panchahi ida bhikkhave bhikkhu Attana cha sila sampanno hoti Parancha sila sampadaya samadapeti. Attana cha samadhi sampanno hoti Parancha samadhi sampadaya samadapeti. Attana cha panya sampanno hoti Parancha panya sampadaya samadapeti. Attana cha vimutti sampanno hoti Parancha vimutti sampadaya samadipeti. Attanata vimutti jnana darsana sampanno hoti. Parancha vimutti jnana darsana sampadaya samadipeti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, this is a very familiar stanza now. We have been using this for quite some time. Even you should be able to remember the Pali version of it probably. The English translation of it is the Blessed One says, Bhikkhu, possessing 5 qualities. A bhikkhu is practicing both for his own welfare and for the welfare of others. What 5? Here, a bhikkhu himself is accomplished in virtuous behavior and encourages others to do so. And he himself is accomplished in concentration and encourages others to become accomplished as well. And he is himself accomplished in wisdom and encourages others to become accomplished in wisdom. He is himself accomplished in liberation and encourages others to become accomplished in liberation. And he is himself accomplished in the knowledge and vision of liberation and encourages others to become accomplished in the knowledge and vision of liberation. So we have been discussing all these 5 and we have completed the first 4. Now we are halfway through the last one, which is the knowledge and vision of liberation. So if I just give a brief summary, becoming virtuous means we discussed to become virtuous, it is very important for us to have the mind involved. So we discussed how a person who is mindful, although he is not virtuous, the mindfulness will guide him to become virtuous through moral shame and moral fear. And similarly, once you are virtuous and you are restraining your physical and verbal deed, then you will see that the mental deeds are not restrained. So taking steps to restrain your mind is called the concentration. So in this concentration, we discussed how different stages of concentration will be gained through the practice, especially when you are practicing mindfulness. And then when you have concentration, just having concentration won't do. That concentration has to be the wise concentration. Otherwise, before Buddha, also the concentration was there. So therefore, this concentration should lead for someone to see the reality of existence, reality of the 5 aggregates. So practicing in that manner is the wisdom. So to practice in that manner or to see the reality of the world, the advice of the Buddha is to keep the mindfulness to the fore. So when you keep the mindfulness to the fore, you have the opportunity to liberate yourself. And we have discussed 5 doors, 5 faculties that will bring your liberation. And those 5 faculties of liberation will provide you special skills, and that will change your internal habits. They will have an internal change in attitudes. They will have internal conversions. So those conversions will lead to the destruction of the taints and to clear the mind, liberate the mind. And therefore you will have liberation of the mind as well as the liberation by the wisdom. So this liberation is not something that is confined to a book, or this liberation is not something that is confined to the knowledge, and this is something that is experiential. So therefore one who has liberated will have some experiences. These are the experiences that we are talking now. The experiences are the knowledge and vision of liberation. And we have discussed, or we have at least signposted for the time being, 9 types of such visions, such knowledges. And first one is the knowledge of rise and fall, and the knowledge of dissolution, knowledge of appearance as terror, knowledge of danger, knowledge of dispassion, knowledge of desire for deliverance, knowledge of reflection, knowledge of equanimity of formation, and conformity knowledge. So these are the 9 knowledges, or the 9 visions that you will have when you liberate. So of those, we have discussed the first 3, knowledge of rise and fall, which means whether you keep your attention to the body, which is either walking or sitting, or whether you are observing your feelings, or whether you are observing your thoughts, your mind, or whether you are allowing things to happen, you just become an observer, you let the phenomena takes place. Whatever object you have for the practice, to have your observation, to keep your mindfulness, and it will end up in this knowledge. Some people say that they will experience the vibrations of the body. They are experiencing a situation where the body is very bubbly, right? So when you have these experiences, or some people might say they feel like ants crawling in the body. So those that really happens only when the attention, the mind has come to the body and you just let it happen. So that's a knowledge. That becomes a knowledge if you don't suspect of what is happening. If you don't, if you are not afraid of it, if you consider that it is due to your practice. Otherwise, people will start giving you pills because they don't know how the physical and mental processes work, and they think this type of nature, or seeing this type of nature, is abnormal. So therefore, so far as the blessed one is concerned, if you really bring your attention to the body, you will have this rise and fall, and it can either become a knowledge, or it can become, it will lead to something else. So for it to become a knowledge, initially anybody will be scared of it, but having the discussion and having the faith and having the energy faculty to let it happen, to keep keep observing and having your support for discussion, you will be able to overcome these things. And once you overcome it, what it really does is, it is declaring a challenge to the permanent nature that we have in our mind. It is challenging the notion of me. It is challenging the notion of pleasure. More you observe, more you allow that to happen, you will be becoming very still. You will be becoming very non-reactive. So that non-reactive nature make you a very sharp observer, very diligent, vigilant observer. So when you become or come close to become 100% observer, then what happens is, this knowledge of rise and fall, or the intensity of the rise and fall will increase, and you will see it is happening much faster than you initially have seen. So, but still you keep observing, and it will come to a point when it is happening so fast, you will at one or the other point allow that to happen, and you, as I said earlier, when you become 100% observer, maybe for few thought moments, what happens is the arising will gradually fall, arising will gradually subside, and you will start seeing falling only, and you will start seeing this disappearance only. So when this disappearance continues, and it will come to a point, because of your clarity of observation, you will see that the object that you are seeing is getting dissolved, as well as the mind it observes also dissolves. So we call it Jnatancha Jnanancha Ubo Vipassati. So both the object as well as the mind both disappears. So when both disappears, and when it starts happening again at a faster rate, you will see that everything bursts off, everything blasts off, everything explodes, right? So again, when that happens, it is something that you have not experienced in your day-to-day life, when you have your sensual life. So a lot of people will get scared, and they may look for other ways of practicing, or they may look for other teachers. But instead, again, what is important when this happens is having this support network. So if you have the right support network, now there are a lot of support networks, and if the support network is right, and if that network has people who have walked the path, that is what Buddha says is, he himself is liberated and encourages others to achieve the same thing. So the support network should be equipped with these experiences. So when they know that where the practitioner is coming from, so he knows how to encourage and allow him to walk on the path and keep practicing. And he will not say any of these things. He will see how the practice is going, and he will just giving another hint to go one more step further. He will not explain a big story. The reason is you may get conditioned to that as well. So therefore, we don't give any expectations. We don't give any targets. We don't give any goals as such. But we allow people to just let things happen. So when that happens, so once you have, if you are not scared, and if you are ready to keep observing, then it becomes a knowledge. So it is not just the vision, you have the knowledge as well. So a lot of people, or not a lot of people, some people have the vision, but they don't have the knowledge because they don't continue any further, and they change the practices, and a lot of things may happen. So when you have this knowledge and vision of dissolution, then there is no longer a challenge to the permanent self and then pleasure notions. It's no longer a challenge. You have experienced yourself that the five aggregates or the person called me is something that is not solid, is something that you cannot hold on to. So you have seen that it's not a knowledge. Now you have experienced. So when you have experienced that, then the appearance as terror comes into the picture. This appearance as terror comes into the picture, not that you become horrified, not that you become afraid of the practice or afraid of what is happening. You have an attitude change that there is no point holding on to the five aggregates. There is no point expecting the five aggregates, that there is no point continuing the five aggregates. So therefore, the terror appears about the five aggregates, not that you go mad by seeing these things. So when you have this attitude change, and these are not really experiences that are very clearly visible as rise and fall and dissolution. These are changes in the mind. So you will not, you will have changes in your preferences. You will have changes in the preferences of your eating, preferences of your clothing, preferences of, going for sensual pleasures, because that it is something that you don't have a hold on. It is not something permanent, that it is a dream, that it is just a shadow. Although we have things tangible and visible, but at the deepest level, it is not so. So therefore, if you accept, because when these things are normally happening and they become a bit confused about themselves, and they think, I was not having this type of attitude, these type of thoughts in the past, and I was all party going. Now what is happening to me? Something is wrong, and you go and see a doctor. Doctor again will give pills, right? And they say, okay, yeah, something is wrong in your mind, so you should be the normal party going person, and they will start earning money out of it. So therefore, having that change, and if you consider that it is due to practice, and if you are able to keep discussing with your noble friends, and especially the teacher, he will be able to explain what is going on. And Buddha has also mentioned in the Girimananda Sutta that your attitudes change. It says, Attihati, Harayati, Digucchati. So which means you don't entertain things anymore. You try to keep them at bay. You become puzzled when people are running behind like rats for sensual pleasure. So that attitude change, if you consider, as it is due to practice, as it is due to not just the practice, progress in the practice, And when you accept these things with a smile, when you accept these things with a happy mind, then, as Buddha says, you are disciplining yourself from the strong craving. You are disciplining yourself from the strong hatred, strong mental fluctuations, because this is a serious mental fluctuation, because you have had in the whole existence in the universe, you have been running behind pleasure, even as an animal or even as in a very high realm. This is all what you have done. So that suddenly changes with the this thing, with the experiences. So therefore you might get confused, you might question yourself. So instead you start accepting it. So what you gradually accept is you are getting, you are gradually inclining towards accepting permanence, impermanence, non-self, and the suffering. So that acceptance will lead to the next stage, which we call knowledge of danger. And the definition of knowledge of danger, that is our topic today. I've taken some time to get there. The definition is Khatang Bhayatupattane Panya Adinavo Jnanam Bhayatupattane Panya Adinave Jnana, which means when the appearance of terror is accepted, it is not just vision, it is not just knowledge, it becomes wisdom. Wisdom of the appearance as terror. So now you accept that you are seeing impermanence. You accept that you are seeing non-self. You accept that you are seeing suffering. So when you accept it, and what you are accepting is the consequence of having the five aggregates, the result of having the five aggregates. So therefore, it says having the wisdom of appearance as terror is the knowledge of danger. So you now see the danger. So when you see the danger, you see the danger in 4 different ways, because these are the 4 ways how you will use your 5 aggregates. So now this terror, appearance as terror, or the dissolution, or the rise and fall, these are not things outside. These are the things that you are seeing within yourself, because mindfulness is keeping, the mindfulness is the observation, choiceless observation, choiceless awareness of here, now, I am. I am mean having a physical process and mental process. 5 aggregates means physical process and mental process. In the 5 aggregate, what we have is Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. In other words, form, feelings, perceptions, volitions, and the consciousness. And these 5 things which we have been holding very tight, it was only started to rise and fall, was only started to dissolve, was only you are having the was only appearing as terror. So seeing that terror and accepting that terror. Now you are accepting that these 5 things are under the law of nature and nature of law, which is impermanent, which is non-self, which is suffering. And then when these 5 aggregates have any sort of coming to the surface, then you will be considering it very closely. And these 5 aggregates, the book is showing few instances how it will come up. It will come up as birth of the 5 aggregates. So when you're observing, and if you start seeing your feelings, if you start seeing your breath, if you start seeing your thoughts, and if you start seeing that is changing, going in these things in a cyclical manner, and that can be considered as the birth, compared to non-existence of such things. When you keep on practicing, it will come to a point, it may come to a point that you are observing things, observing a situation where there is nothing. Yeah, you may be observing a situation where you exactly can't identify whether something is there or not, right? So when your practice has developed to such a state, right? So when birth of the breath, birth of the feeling, birth of anything else, thoughts appears, then you may be a bit reluctant about it. You may have some sort of terror appearing about it, and you may consider it as unpleasant. You may consider it as worldly. You may consider it as a volition. So therefore, you see, you have the ability, you have an opportunity to see the danger. When you are practicing, you were in a state where these things were no longer available. They were not very clearly available, right? So if it appears, you will not jump and accept them. Instead, you will have a change in your mind, and this is appearing again. And someone yesterday called me and said she was observing the unpleasant feelings, and when she was observing, because she's having a lot of body pains, and she has been observing these body pains for a long time, and one day when she was observing, it came to a point that this suffering or the body pain has subsided, and it became very pleasurable. And when it became very pleasurable, she said, I was feeling that there is nothing to enjoy even that. I didn't like even that pleasurable feeling. So that is how, although we are explaining in very methodical, clear manner, when these things are happening, you will not be able to identify with signpost, paragraph in the practice. That practice will happen in completely different way to the sermons that you are hearing. It's a process that continues, and it's a flow. So you will simply allow that flow, and when that flow happens, you see what is going in your mind, and you can see that your mind is rejecting, not intentionally, but naturally that rejection comes. So that is because now here it was an unpleasant situation which became pleasurable. Even that pleasure she didn't start appreciating. Even that pleasure, she did not start enjoying, getting indulged in it. The reason is, before that, she may have had some glimpses of impermanence, some glimpses of non-self, some glimpses of suffering. So therefore, birth of anything, it may be form, it may be pleasant feeling, unpleasant feelings we anyway don't like, there will have a change, taste in the mind. So therefore, five aggregates, birth of five aggregates, you will see it as terror, you will see it as unpleasant thing, you will see it as sensual desire or worldly, or you will see it as a volition. And if you see that as in that manner, then it is a wisdom of the appearance as terror. And it is not only the birth, if it continues, if the cycle of that appeared thing continues, and again you will not you don't hate it. This is a very this has a very thin edge with the hatred and seeing that as terror, seeing that as unpleasant, seeing that as worldly, seeing that as volition. So when someone, if you try to apply, when these things are appearing, if you try to apply these things to the practice, then it goes towards hatred. But when you are practicing, if it naturally happens, if you feel the existence is something that is leading to sensual desire, that is leading towards volition, then it is something that will give rise to terror, because you don't like the continuation of the five aggregates and you will see suffering in it. So then again, we call it pavattang. It is not only birth, but even the existence, you will accept in that manner. Then it becomes panya, then it becomes wisdom of the appearance as terror. When it becomes wisdom when it becomes a wisdom, then it becomes the knowledge of danger. What you are seeing is the danger in five aggregates. So these are very subtle differences between these things. In the knowledge of the appearance as terror, you had only two situations. The two situations were, it is pavattam and nimittam, which means when you have the sign and when you have the continuation of existence, those are the only two things that you were worried about. But now you are seeing much more detailed situation. It's the birth of it. You see the beginning of it. You see the existence of it for some time. And then you see the signs of it. And when you see the signs of feelings, signs of form, signs of mental volitions, so on and so forth. So this usually happens when you go to a situation where there is no neither perception nor non-perception. So you have a sign. So when you have the sign, if you just keep observing, you will not entertain that sign. You will not accept it as me. But before Buddha, they were not appearing as terror for those practitioners. So therefore they said they were eternal. That situation is eternal, and that was identified as me. But what Buddha says is, when you see that, and if you take this is something that shows the real nature of yourself, and that it is something, if you hold on to, leads to unpleasantness, and if you hold on to, it will lead to worldly, and therefore it will continue your reactional mentality. then seeing in that manner, it becomes wisdom, and then it becomes the knowledge of the danger. And similarly, another facet is explained here. You see it as a karma that might bring birth, especially when you are practicing in very detail, or when your practice become very shallow, when your practice become very sharp, when your mindfulness become very sharp, it will come to a point there are billions of suggestions when you're observing. The mind will be asking you to do this, do that, do metta practice, do change the posture, or do loving kindness meditation, do 32 reflect on the foulness of the body, and many suggestions will come. Or they may say, apply this, apply that. So when those things are happening, and if you see them as pushing towards or making your mind do something mentally, and you might see that it has a karma that might bring the form again, that might bring the feeling again, that might bring the perceptions, mental volitions again. So if you see in that manner, and if you continue to observe without doing anything, then it becomes a wisdom of the appearance as terror. And that wisdom is leading to the knowledge of danger. You see the opportunity to make karma, but you don't make that karma because you see the danger of the doing that karma. It is not something physical. Probably it is mental suggestion. You see that, and but without doing, we just continue. And also, it is giving another facet of it. It says patisandhi, which means conception in any realm. And this is a bit of a deep observation, because you will see when you keep on practicing, and you may have, depending on the level of practice, if you are clinging on to form, if you are clinging on to the infinity of space, if you are clinging on to the consciousness, infinity of consciousness, if you are clinging on to the nothingness, if you are clinging on to neither perception nor non-perception, and you will see that you may develop situations to get birth in another realm. So there are people, when they observe nothingness specially, they don't like anything else appearing. They like to be in nothingness as long as possible, because it is very peaceful, because you don't have anything. But the one who is keeping the mindfulness to the fore will have the ability, will have the observation that this continuation will lead to the perpetuation of the liking to the nothingness. So therefore, he will have an opportunity to continue that perpetuation as long as it wants. And seeing that, because of the mindfulness, that breaks the very perpetuation. And if you don't see it, if you don't observe that, then you become bogged down in it, and you will be conceived in any other realm. So therefore, when you see such situation, when you see there are people who says, I'm having, it is very pleasurable when I'm in that situation. I know, I can see that I'm trying to like it. So that's all what you want. You start having the ability to see the motivations in your own mind. Seeing the motivation in your own mind breaks the continuation of this patisandhi, breaks the continuation of the conception in any other realm. So when you accept that, that is the knowledge of, that is not the knowledge of appearance as terror, that is the wisdom of appearance as the terror. And that wisdom leads to the knowledge of danger, because you are avoiding danger in the future. And also it is showing another facet of the five aggregates. It says gati. Gati means any nature of having a birth, because to have birth there are so many ways. So it may be through, when you have a relevant karma, you may be naturally born, or you may be born without any conception as such. It may be just appearance, or you may be just born in an eggshell, or you may be born in mother's womb, right? So there are some ways that you will get birth. So when you practice, depending on where your practice is, you will have some natures, some signs of liking. It is similar to what I explained a little while ago, but it is not exactly a realm, but you see signs of that. So seeing signs of that, and if you consider that you have such signs, then it is a wisdom of appearance as terror, and therefore leads to knowledge of danger. And the next one is nibbanti, which means appearance of the aggregates. So if you not just the nature, not just the conception, not just the karma, and you very clearly see the aggregates are appearing. When the aggregates are appearing, that appearance of the aggregates, if you consider it as something to be terrified about, if you consider that is something not to be taken as pleasant, if you consider that it is something worldly, if you consider that it is a volition, then considering in that manner is the wisdom of the appearance as terror. So you are creating wisdom out of it. It's not just the knowledge, and these things are not leading you to any good. These things are leading you to more terrified situation, leading you to more burning situations. So knowing that is a wisdom, and when you know that these things have happened, but you don't fuel that situation anymore, you see the danger, you have the knowledge of the danger. So therefore you don't use the five aggregates to go behind what should not be done. You will use the five aggregates as a dividend to achieve Dhamma, to realize Dhamma. And that is why, and most of you are engaged in this practice for some time. And that is what you are doing, because it is not 100% that you are experiencing it, but you have, to some extent, you have that knowledge behind you. But with the practice, for it to appear, it will take a bit more time. So in this manner, you will consider, if you are born, the decaying will be there. Decaying is of course terrifying, it is of course unpleasant, and it is of course worldly, and it is of course volitional. And considering decaying in that manner, considering getting old in that manner, considering death in that manner, considering sorrow in that manner, lamentation in that manner, grief in that manner, is the appearance as terror. So when the appearance as terror knowledge comes, it's as I said earlier, it's a very thin edge towards hatred and towards wisdom. If you consider them as things not to be indulged in, they are things not to be entertained about, then you are having wisdom. You are generating wisdom. And that generation of wisdom is giving you the knowledge of danger. And 99% of the people in the world, they don't consider five aggregates as a danger. They consider five aggregates as something that you have received to enjoy this world. Buddha also says, yes, you enjoy this world, but not over. You have five faculties, you have your body and feelings, you use them to live, but you have these five aggregates as a dividend of an investment that you have done in your previous lives. That is why you have this human ability or this human body. This human body and the human mind, mental process is completely different to animal, because that very human body and the mental process is having the ability to understand itself, but other animals are not having that ability. So then only you will see the danger of the five aggregates. So that is where the Blessed One is taking us, keeping the mindfulness to the fore. So unless you keep the mindfulness to the fore, you will practice. You will go into situations beyond sensuality. You will go into situations beyond form. You will go to formless situations, and you may start indulging in them. If you're indulging in them, you indulge only five aggregates, nothing else. In formless situation, the physical appearance may not be prominent, but the mental process are prominent. So when the mental process are prominent, it is also part of five aggregates, and therefore it will have everything that gives you danger, that will take you towards the permanent notion, that will take you towards the self notion, that will take you towards the pleasure principle. So if it goes there, then you will continue birth, you will continue decaying, you continue getting old, and you will have sorrow and lamentation. It is unavoidable. Therefore, the Blessed One says, Sankittena Panchupadana Khanda, which means, in brief, five aggregates are the suffering. There is suffering is not outside. Suffering is within the five aggregates. Five aggregates are the suffering. So therefore, after dissolution, knowledge of dissolution, when you have the appearance of terror, all what you see is this suffering. So when you see the suffering, you will start hating seeing the suffering. When you start seeing the suffering, then you will move away from Buddha. But what Buddha says is, when you see that, accept it and see what it is motivating towards, and that seeing very same thing is happening only if you have the mindfulness to the fore. If you don't have mindfulness to the fore, you will try to do something. If you try to do something, this the changing of this entanglement, you will start entangling once again. So, but if you keep the mindfulness to the fore, and if you allow all these things to get unentangled, then it will gradually lead to seeing and accepting the danger in the five aggregates. So when you see the danger in five aggregates in this manner, you will naturally accepting. Now this is a question. Now you have a question, you have a situation. What do I do? The only thing you do is when you see this terror, when you see this unpleasantness, when you see this worldly nature, when you see this volitional thing, you also have an answer. You see these things because you have the answer. The answer is keeping the mindfulness to the fore. So when you keep the mindfulness to the fore, you see observation is an oasis. It is nothing to get terrified. Now you know, because you have this practice, I am now out of this issue. I have some solution to this problem. Doctors don't have it. I'm very sorry if there are doctors here. They always look for medication, irrespective of whether it's a physical situation or the mental situation. Their answer is a pill. But the answer of the blessed one is, now this person's mind is completely in an unacceptable state. He sees suffering, he sees unpleasantness, and this person is confused why this is happening to me. But seeing that is because he's seeing, because of the mindfulness to the because he's keeping the mindfulness to the fore, then he becomes happy about that. So this is why I'm always saying, practice what we develop is a skill. That skill we are developing is awareness. So therefore we start appreciating that awareness. When you start appreciating the awareness, you accept the fact that I am seeing these things because of the clarity of my awareness. So you see that skill as an oasis for you to come out of the mess that you are seeing in yourself. So also he also sees that acceptance is a pleasant thing. He also sees that he is free from sensuality. He also sees that this is the way for liberation. Therefore, he is not providing food. He is not providing nutrition for the birth. He is providing nutrition to avoid birth. How you avoid birth is keeping the mindfulness to the fore. When you keep the mindfulness to the fore, you don't generate volitions. You don't generate, since you don't generate volitions, since you don't generate sankhara, no consciousness will appear. So since there is no consciousness, there is no birth. And on the other hand, since you are not doing any mental volitions, the ignorance is also getting shattered, because you are now very open and very alert, very vigilant. And therefore, anything that arises, you have the ability to see. So when you have the ability to see, that is not any longer ignorance. You know, I mean, what you are seeing is rubbish. What you are seeing is your own foolishness, but you are aware. Earlier you were not aware. Therefore, there is, from both the sides, there are no nutritions for the birth. There is no nutritions for the continuation. There is no nutritions for science. There is no nutritions for decaying, birth, and having gati, having patisandhi, and having any nature, any conception. So therefore, you will consider observation as an oasis, consider observation as a pleasant thing, consider observation as going away from sensuality, and you consider this entire process is liberating you. So therefore, you continue to practice, and when the practice progresses, you go into better, more suitable situations to provide better conditions for you to come out of the five aggregates. So I think some of you may not be able to relate to this, and I also understand you will be able to understand this only to the extent your practice has improved. But this is something that you will, when you continue in your practice, you yourself will be able to experience over time. So already it is there. Although you may not have seen certain things, all these things are happening in a gradual process. So the very fact that you are continuing in the practice is a sign of that. So therefore, I hope this talk has given you some support, some help to continue practice. Of course, I don't know whether some of you will, some of you may stop the practice tomorrow. I don't understand what the heck he's talking about. So either way, I wish you all the best in this blessed path that the Blessed One has opened for us. Blessings of the Triple J.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Good. So do we have anything to discuss?
Thirwan Saranai.
Saranai.
I have a question that's probably quite basic, but I'd just like to get an understanding of what keeping mindfulness to the fore is, and how do we know whether that is what we're actually doing in a particular moment or during the course of practice.
The question is, how do we know whether we are keeping the mindfulness to the fore?
Yeah. What is keeping mindfulness to the fore, and how do we know whether we are?
Yeah. So keeping mindfulness to the fore means you don't stop observation. You don't poke your fingers in whatever is happening. So just to give a simple example, when you observe the breath initially, you may see it gross. And this gross breath will start getting subtler. So when it gets subtler, if you allow it to get subtler, then you keep the mindfulness to the fore. You are not poking your fingers in. You are not choosing. Choiceless awareness is maintained. And when your body is paining, or when you have unpleasant thoughts coming up, when you feel you're confused, when you feel you don't know anything, you just become aware, yes, all these things happen, but I maintain my awareness. So that is keeping the mindfulness to the fore. And when you keep the mindfulness to the fore, how you will know is, you will know that you are no longer with the main object you are started with. It has changed. It has evolved. And if you have allowed it to happen, then you know that you have kept the mindfulness to the fore. And most of the time what happens is you may start questioning things. So when you start questioning things, that is when the mind is trying to take you away from the mindfulness to the fore. Mind will not just allow you to let it continue in such a soft and simple manner. It will give a lot of challenges. So then the teacher will know that up to that point you have kept the mindfulness to the fore, but now the mind is trying to take you away. So he will just say, observe that as well. So no matter what happens, if you continue your observation, that is mindfulness to the fore, and you yourself will be aware that you are allowing that. And when that happens, as we discussed a little while ago, your way of looking at things will start changing. You become a changed person. You become more virtuous person, more sometimes aggravated person, sometimes more panic person, sometimes violent person, sometimes confused person. That is because you are digging deep into your defilements. And although these things are happening, if you keep observing, their strength will gradually subside. And then you will see the change as you are becoming on all these damn things are there. But you are observing all of these things. Not that they are completely gone. They are always trying to hit you. But you are observing all those things. So you feel like that you have generated firewall around you. And although the viruses are there, they aren't able to attack you. I'm not quite sure that I answered, but if you have anything that I'm not clear with, you can ask another question.
No, that's how. Thank you, Bante. Theruvan Saranai.
Theruvan Saranai. Yes, Ishan.
Yes, Bante, is it okay to give a report about the practice?
Yes, definitely.
So I'll just start with the walking meditation that I did today's session. So actually, I'm still in Australia in my sister's place, so I had to do it in 2 different places because there are people about. So first I was walking on like a tile floor, and there I was feeling while walking, I noticed the sensations, the cool sensation of the floor, and I noticed the patterns of my the feelings in my feet. So the heel of the foot, and then the foot touching the front of the foot touching the floor on both left and right foots. And then on the floor, I noticed the basically the texture of the floor. Sometimes there were crevices in the floor, and I could feel that. And certain debris when walking, sometimes you get stuck to the foot, and the feeling to wipe it away was there. But and I think once I actually did wipe it away, but otherwise I was trying to be aware of it. And then the turning, I was aware of when turning. Sometimes I was turning either toward the left side and turning, or towards the right side and turning. And I think I noticed some sounds in the background. I think my brother-in-law was watching TV or something, but I can't remember the content, but I do notice hearing sounds. And then at I think about the 20-minute mark, I had to change, and I was walking but on like 3 different surfaces, like a boarded sort of floor, carpeted, as well as a bit of a rough carpet, and I could feel the different sensations on all those surfaces as it touched the feet. And also on the feet, I could notice sensations like in the middle of the foot. Sometimes there were a bit of painful feeling, and sometimes it was just feeling the floor. And sometimes in the floor, I could feel, even though it looks flat, there are basically sort of levels. I could feel like sometimes it's uneven. And then, I think in terms of walking meditation, that was what I was feeling. In the sitting meditation, Bhante, I'm actually more aware, and I think for that in the sitting meditation. So when I started sitting down, I could feel my after the walking meditation, the feet were the attention first went to the body, and then I was aware of breathing. Then it went to the feet, because the feet was sort of, I could feel throbbing sensation in the feet, and then I was mindful of the feet sensations towards like the bottom, like from the foot and then to the area just above the foot. I could feel the sensations there. And then as it subsided, I think I changed to I was having a bit of a back pain. I think the sensation went to the right side of my back. And I was then observing that, and then that disappeared. And then I was observing the breath sensation. I could feel it in 2 places. First, I felt it in the chest area, and I was observing that. And then I also felt it near the nostrils. I could feel it going up and down, and sometimes I could feel it sort of going like forward and backward, like touching the nostril and going forward and backward. And I could feel it like touching the on the right side nostril, touching like the nose hairs sort of thing. I could feel it just going backwards and forwards there. And also, Bhante, I felt then after later on, I felt it going up and down. And then I also felt it in the body on the chest area, sometimes without being aware of it was much sharper at the nose, but in the body, I could just feel the body expanding and going down, but it also felt comfortable there. And then Bante, in I think all my practices which I've been doing throughout the weeks, I had like body pains on my shoulder. So basically, when I put my attention to the shoulder, I can feel like the outline of, say, the muscles on the top of the right hand side or the left hand side, and the sort of feeling under the armpits. And then I feel sometimes it starts off being sort of hard and bit uncomfortable. But as I observe, sometimes it starts becoming less. It does, yeah. The sensations become less. Like I feel it like relaxing, like a muscle sort of like expanding and relaxing, like a rubber band releasing tension. I can feel that in the different parts of the body. And also, Bante, I was feeling this. It's like a very pleasant sensation that comes up inside the body. I can't say exactly where it is, but like in the chest area, I can feel like or I'm not sure it's mental even. I feel like a pleasurable sensation, and even like from observing. And sometimes it comes like I don't want the session to end. I want to keep keep observing, and that experiencing that pleasant feeling, which I didn't actually observe it before. Those were the main sensations, Bante, that I experienced.
All right. Yes, so far as can you hear me?
Yes, Bante.
Yeah. Walking is concerned. Do you consider that you are mindful, or do you have any question in walking?
No questions, Bante. I think I can keep the mindfulness.
So yes. Are you happy that you are mindful?
Yes, Bante.
Yeah, so that's the main thing, because you are giving a lot of information. So giving information means you collect a lot of data. Collecting data means you are a good observer. So that observational capacity only makes your mindfulness sharper. So therefore, having no questions and being accepting that you are mindful is the most important thing, because you are happy with what you are doing. But
Yes,
so therefore, keep doing what you are doing so far as walking and so far as sitting is concerned. And in the walking, there was something that you mentioned. You say you changed the surface.
Yes.
Can I ask you why?
Yes, Bante. So in my basically initially I was walking in the kitchen area, and then my sister came home and she was she has to prepare dinner for the kids. So then I moved to the hall area, which had like a border, which there was no one in that area. So I actually had to change into that area.
But you went to
I think when I get
three different places. So was
two
there a
different places.
reason like that in all the situations, or
No. That was only in this particular situation, because I think they were not expecting the class to be there, so they were doing their daily routines. But I was just walking. Yes.
Yeah. So in other instances, why did you change?
No, I didn't. I normally walk in the hallway sort of thing. So that is on that was like boarded floor, and there's a carpet area and like a rough carpet area. That's the regular place I've been walking. But I think when I get back to Sri Lanka, which is like end of this week, I will find
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, what I'm trying to understand is, when you change the surface you walk, is there a reason for that change, or you just do it when you want it?
No, but this was just a situation based on the house. Otherwise, I don't change it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So okay, that is very important, because why I asked that question is, when you keep on walking on the same surface, you get used to it, and you have taken as much information as possible, and you gradually start seeing the same information. When you start seeing the same information, the so-called enthusiasm towards it, the inspiration that you have to continue observing, gradually loses. So when you lose that interest, then the mind is encouraging you to go to a different surface.
Understood.
So if that happens, don't ever change the surface, because when you have lost the interest in particular thing, continuous observation is the key to go towards liberation, because we are observing things only when we have only when we have things that we like, or only when we have things that we don't like. So it might come to a situation where you don't have any things to like, you don't have any things to dislike, and then you change the surface. So which means mind is trying to maintain that liking and disliking phenomena.
Understood.
So that is why I asked the
Okay, thank
question,
you.
but you have not done it because of that reason. It is due to some other reasons. So even if you have, as you say, other activities are happening, still if you can continue your practice there when other activities are there, your mindfulness may become even sharper. And in fact, you mentioned that when your sounds were there, you just observed and kept on doing. So therefore, it is not necessary to change the surface in such a situation. See, when other variables are there, whether you can't continue and have your observation, and your observation will not be as sharp as when you don't have observation, but your observation capability will be very strong, because
Understood,
you
Bhante.
don't give any regard to the surrounding. Those things, mind will keep them at bay, and mind will observe them as well, and at the same time observe the walking as well. So it will be improving your skill. That's something that you can test in the future. And so far as sitting is concerned, um, yeah. Now you are mentioning, I'm not talking about the things that everything that you have mentioned, because you are observing it and you allow things to happen. So there is nothing much for me to poke my fingers in. But I just give some explanation about this body shoulder pain. Or before that, you said when you observe the pain and it subsides and it goes to some other place. When you're observing left, it goes to right. So this is what happens. When you observe, you don't react. When you don't react, the value of the pain loses. The pain comes expecting a reaction. So then it gradually vanishes from there and appears from some other place. And if you observe that, it appears from another place. If you observe that, it appears from another place. So when you continuously keep observing in this manner, you are mentioning, you gradually start feeling expansion and contraction of the body, of the muscles. So this is what we label as either pain or either unpleasant feeling or the pleasant feeling. Our body always having expansion and contraction. And that expansion and contraction, when we like, we call it pleasant. When we don't like, we call it unpleasant. So what observation does is that attitude, that mental input is taken off. You simply observe, no matter whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. So when that mental component goes away, all what you are able to see is the nature of the body, expansion and contraction. So therefore, you will see even the feelings are expanding and contracting. So it's the same thing with this rubber effect you are mentioning. It has gone to another place, and initially it was hard, but now over time you are feeling a rubber band effect. So which means this hardness gradually dissolves and it becomes softer, and it is not as stiff as earlier. So this is all what the mind does is just observing takes away the mental input. So this is how you keep the mindfulness to the fore. You don't do anything and observe, and you then that very same thing become pleasurable. Earlier it was hard and painful, unpleasant. Now it becomes pleasurable. So you mentioned here you wanted to continue and not to end the session. Seeing that and reporting that is much more important than anything else, because the mind is trying to create craving towards it, and you see that, and you report that as well. And some people, when they have the pleasurable feeling, they don't report it. They think now they have achieved in the practice. But if you report, it's a very clear sign that you are a data collector only. So which means you are a good observer. So keep it up. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Peruan Saranai.
Peruan Saranai.
Any other comments, questions? Right. So if you don't have anything else, we can pass merits to the rest of the beings. Let me grab the paper. Yeah, so we have been the practice and very deep talk about the advancement of the practice. So the positive energies we have generated from this can be shared with the other beings. So can I kindly invite Ishan to recite the stanzas today?
In English, Bhante, or can okay.
In English would be better, yes.
Yeah, okay. May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive me, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Dhamma, to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practiced well, the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you everyone for joining. See you next Tuesday. Peruan Saranai.
Peruan Saranai.